Split is written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan and stars James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy, and is about a guy called Kevin who has 23 distinct personalities living inside of him. First of all, I must apologise for this review being as late as it is. I really wanted to see it in the cinema back in January, but unfortunately I missed it. But now I have a review for you guys, and I think it's worth the wait because this movie is really good. Now, unfortunately, I must admit something, and that is that the only other M. Night Shyamalan movie I have seen to date is The Happening. So I went into this movie not quite knowing what to expect, whether I was going to get good Shyamalan or whether I was going to get shit Shyamalan. And luckily, this movie is everything I was hoping it would be and a bit more, because this is definitely on Shyamalan's good side of his career than it is bad. Now, the first thing I must talk about is how well this movie is shot and directed. The cinematography in this movie is very slick, and you can very easily tell what kind of tone they're going for. And this, blended with the very good direction of Shyamalan, really makes for an overall very creepy vibe to the movie. And as the movie goes on, it gets more suspenseful and it gets incredibly more tense, to the point where I was on the edge of my seat by the time the movie was finished. And for a movie like this to do that is very, very good, because I honestly wasn't expecting a suspenseful movie in Split. However, a movie like this must have good performances, and for the most part the performances are really good. The standout is clearly James McAvoy here, who is an actor I've really loved in pretty much everything I've seen him in for a long time now, and I don't think he gets the recognition he deserves. And here, he gives easily a career best performance. Somehow he makes each personality his own, but also making them be believable and incredibly creepy at the same time. For instance, 1 minute he could be Hedwig, which is the 9-year-old boy personality, and he makes it incredibly convincing and believable, even though you're looking at James McAvoy. And then a second later, he could change into Dennis, which is a very uptight, control freak person who has very clear OCD about things. And again, makes him incredibly convincing and believable to the point where it's very unnerving to watch. And somehow he manages to do it whilst making them all feel like they're the same person, even though the personalities are completely different. And I feel that only James McAvoy could have pulled it off, and he does an incredible job here. The other highlight for me was Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays one of the kidnapped girls in the movie, and she is easily gives the best performance out of those three girls. There is a lot of depth to her character, and out of the three girls, that is the character they focus on the most, and it makes sense by the time the movie ends, because her character has a lot more going for her than you initially think, and it really adds to the depth of her character and makes a lot more emotion in her character than you were initially thinking. The other two girls, though, they're okay. Their performances are fine. They're not amazing, but they're not terrible either. They're just there. Betty Buckley as Kevin's psychiatrist is very good as well. I thought her character gave the audience somewhere to look into through this whole situation. For example, you got Anya Taylor-Joy's character, who is kind of a bit of a mystery, but you find out more about her. You've got Kevin, who's kind of the bad guy of this situation. And then you have Betty Buckley, who is kind of the audience's eyes in this situation. She knows a bit more than we do. For example, she's looking into this condition that Kevin has. But from the way her character plays out throughout the whole movie, she's kind of like the audience's eyes. And she's just kind of experiencing it all as it happens, like we are. I also really like the score as well. There are some times where you can't even hear it, and then it will just immediately pop up out of nowhere and take you by surprise. And for a movie like this, I think it works incredibly well, especially with the style and tone that they're going for, of incredibly creepy, but also kind of suspenseful as well. Also, we all know what Shyamalan's like. He loves a twist ending, and here, I think it really works, especially for the sake of the movie. For example, when it first happened, I thought, okay, I think I'm on board with this. But when I thought about it a bit more, it actually makes the rest of the movie make a whole lot more sense. And that is one thing I will say about the movie. There are some points as the movie's going on that you kind of have to suspend disbelief in a way. And you're just kind of there like, yeah, are they really doing that? I don't know whether that's going to work, because they set up a pretty realistic tone throughout the whole movie, and then certain things happen and you're like, I don't know about this. I really am not sure about this. But luckily, if you wait it out and wait for that ending, everything makes sense, and it just makes everything that happened a lot clearer. So yeah, there's not really much else I can say about this movie. I really did enjoy it. I thought the performances were very good, especially from McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy. The only negative I will say is that middle bit where things start happening and you're not quite sure about it, but that is luckily resurrected by the end of the movie, and I'm going to give Split an 8.5 out of 10. It's this close to getting a 9, and I think after several rewatches it might even go up to a 9, but at this moment in time I still think it's a very, very good movie for what it is, and an 8.5 is where I stand. So guys, that was my review for Split. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Bye!